99% of spiritual teachings say that you have to purify, develop, fix, or otherwise change yourself. They're either wrong or they're making a concession. This is often the case with one-to-many teachings, meaning the teacher is addressing hundreds or thousands or even hundreds of thousands of students, because they have to present a teaching that makes sense to a vast amount of people, each with their own needs, each with their own problems, each with their own previous experience. When anyone does this in any kind of teaching, not just inside spirituality, they have to present something which is, in a way, homogenized, made fit for mass consumption. And so they make certain concessions. In a one-to-one teacher-student interaction, by contrast, the teacher has the luxury of assessing that individual student's readiness for hearing various teachings. And so that teacher may or may not assess that student to be ready to hear things like, effort is the problem. Imagine you're teaching a room full of 1,000 people about something that you know. You're going to have to make certain concessions. In spirituality, we often make the concession in a one-to-many teaching, the concession that says effort is necessary. Why? Because when we're talking to beginners in particular, which of course is most people in anything are beginners, then just to get them to sit down and meditate is a huge victory. And given the mess in the typical lifestyle here in the 21st century, that beginner is likely going to have to shoulder out of the way a bunch of other commitments just to be able to make time in their day to do a short guided meditation. In this case, saying that effort is necessary is a good thing. But this channel is not for beginners, and I'm not addressing thousands of people. I'm addressing you, and if you're here, you're most likely an intermediate spiritual practitioner. You've done a bunch of different practices, you've tested a bunch of different teachings, and now you're finding, if you're like many, many people I've worked with, that you've reached a kind of plateau. I call this the striver's plateau, because there is a point on the spiritual path where effort itself, striving itself, becomes the problem. We begin applying effort to our spiritual practice like we've applied effort to everything else in our lives. But then we reach a point of diminishing returns. We're reaching for awakening as if it exists in the future, as if it is achieved when certain conditions are met. The deeper teaching on awakening says that this is simply not how it works. How it works is that we want to focus on truth. Truth is not something created. Truth, with a capital T, is what is true even on an alien planet, among an alien culture, in an alien language, with none of the ideas or religions or belief systems or philosophies that we're familiar with here on planet Earth. That's the truth that awakening is about. Awakening is seeing that truth, embodying that truth, recognizing that truth. And this word recognizing is pivotal. An authentic spiritual practice that is not homogenized for beginners, that is not made with concessions to make it easier to digest. That teaching says that you're already awakened, already enlightened, and all you must do is recognize this. All you must do is recognize this. And this is not about striving. This is not about efforting. In fact, that striving, that efforting only perpetuates the sense of a striver, of a fixer, which is what is to be dissolved in order for awakening to occur. So how do you make this recognition? Well, to put it simply, to use the most potent instruction that has come up in all kinds of cultures, across all kinds of time, is to simply rest naturally without seeking or describing anything. If you're returning to this channel, you've likely heard me say that before. And you'll hear me say it again. I needed thousands of reminders to rest naturally without seeking or describing anything. Why? Because for 30 years I'd been doing the opposite. I'd been striving. I'd been efforting. I'd been seeking. I'd been describing. I'd been interpreting, judging, labeling, reifying, making things real, indulging in subject-object relativity, reinforcing that sense of separateness. Here's me, I end at the boundary of my skin, and I encounter the things in the world. Some of them I like, some of them I dislike, some of them I want, some of them I don't. And my whole life, for the first 30 years of it, was about trying to grab and bring towards me the things that I wanted, and about trying to push away the things that I didn't. This is what the Buddha called samsara, the realm of illusion, the realm of suffering, of stress, of dissatisfaction. But we can cut through those illusions by stopping our descriptions, which is how we invest things with meaning, and simply resting as we are, as the aware, pure space in which all things come and go. And of course, they do go, those things that you dislike, and they do come, those things that you like. If you're watching this video, you're likely not in a war zone. You're likely not in a survival situation. And this is why we're able to drop this striver identity. It was useful when we were struggling to stay alive. We don't have to do that anymore. And how wonderful it is that we can turn the tide on millions of years of evolution through which these psychological constructs were formed, and simply let go in a single lifetime. and recognize our already enlightened nature. That nature that does not describe, does not discriminate, does not accept or reject, but simply is with what is, as it is, without trying to alter it, without trying to fix it, without trying to change it. And this includes all the phenomena that you take to be yourself. So friend, do please rest naturally without seeking or describing anything whenever you remember. And if you still feel that you need some kind of a practice, some kind of a thing to do, just make remembering this your practice. If you want to sit quietly and call this a meditation, great. No problem. If you want to begin that with some more traditional breath meditation, great. We don't have to exclude anything, and this is why you will never catch me saying that teachings that talk about effort are bad or damaging. We might think of them like a gateway drug to prepare people to be ready to hear what I'm sharing here today. See, it's difficult for someone who has had no contact with this kind of teaching, or with any spiritual teaching, to grasp it at first. Rest naturally without seeking or describing anything. I mean, okay, sure. I mean, I do that every night. I put my feet up and watch Netflix. Of course, that's not what I'm talking about, and that's why I'm here to speak to you intermediate and perhaps advanced practitioners who are ready to hear this stuff, who understand what I mean when I say rest. Resting as the essence of your being, as the essence of all that you perceive. Awareness. Pure like space. Unharmed by anything that comes through it. If you need more reminders, just come back to this video or subscribe to the channel. I publish these videos just as often as I can. I'm working on something behind the scenes right now, which I think you'll enjoy. I plan to increase the frequency of these uploads soon. There's a whole library here already on this channel that you can enjoy, where in a way I'm really just banging on about the same thing from different angles. Really, this whole channel could just be a continuous reminder to rest naturally without seeking or describing anything, to settle into what is naturally occurring. So do all the stuff that tells YouTube you want to see more of these videos, and I hope to see you back here for the next one.